Did you know that motor vehicle crashes are one of the leading causes of death among those aged 1 to 54 in the United States? Well, in 2012, 2.2 million adult drivers and passengers within that age range were treated in emergency departments as a result of being injured in motor vehicle crashes. Someone is injured in a car crash every 15 seconds, while someone is killed in a car crash every 13 minutes. These statistics are staggering. However, seatbelts can help reduce these injuries and save lives. About 5 years ago, my sister was in a terrible car wreck. She was driving on the freeway in Cleveland, Ohio, when an extremely large semi-truck attempted to merge in the lane she was driving in. The truck driver claims he did not see her because she was in his blind spot and ended up running her off the road. She lost complete control of her vehicle and ended up on the opposite side of the freeway, where the car had flipped and eventually hit a tree. Every law enforcement officer we spoke with said, if she hadn't been wearing her seatbelt, she would have been dead. I always knew wearing your seatbelt was important, but this event really opened my eyes to the reality of what can happen when you don't. Vehicle operators and their passengers should always wear a seatbelt to save lives and reduce injuries in crashes. Wearing your seatbelt may sound like a chore, but in all actuality, it is easy and effortless, can prevent you from getting an unnecessary ticket, and potentially save your life. First, let's discuss how easy this process really is. Strapping into a seatbelt every time you get into a car may appear as tedious, but it is so simple and requires no energy at all. The process of putting on a seatbelt is only one step and requires just 3 seconds of your time. All you do is pull the seatbelt across your body and wear the lap belt snug and low over the pelvic bones. Put the end of the seatbelt, which is made from metal, into the latch and be sure to hear a click noise when you have buckled the seatbelt. Although this is an easy process, it is important to wear the seatbelt correctly. A typical 3-point seatbelt consists of a lap belt which rests over your pelvis and a shoulder belt which extends across your chest. According to the American Driver and Traffic Safety Education Association, a shoulder harness is worn across the shoulder and chest with minimal, if any, slack. The shoulder harness should not be worn under the arm or behind the back. The lap belt should be adjusted if necessary so that it is snug and lies low across your hips after fastening. You should be seated upright with your back against the seat and your feet on the floor. Improper seating positions such as slouching or resting one's feet on the dashboard can result in reduced effectiveness of the vehicle's restraint system and possibly result in injury. This one-step process to buckle your seatbelt is so simple, yet millions of adults choose not to wear their seatbelts every day, resulting in needless tickets. Wearing your seatbelt can prevent both drivers and passengers from receiving unnecessary tickets and fines from officers applying primary and secondary enforcement seatbelt laws. The Governor's Highway Safety Association defines a primary enforcement seatbelt law as one where a police officer can pull over a vehicle and issue a ticket just because the driver or passenger covered by the law is not wearing a seatbelt. This type of enforcement has been proven to make a big difference in getting more people to buckle up. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that seatbelt use in 2010 was 89% in states with primary enforcement seatbelt laws. 34 states, the District of Columbia, American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands all currently have primary seatbelt laws for front seat occupants. The fines associated with primary enforcement can range anywhere from $10 to $250 per ticket depending on the state. The Governor's Highway Safety Association states that a secondary enforcement seatbelt law only allows a police officer to issue a ticket for someone not wearing a seatbelt if the driver has been pulled over for some other offense. 15 states currently have secondary laws. In many of these states, the law is primary for younger drivers and/or passengers. The CDC states that seatbelt use in 2010 averaged 80% in states with secondary enforcement laws, with fines ranging from $10 to $71 depending on the state, but most states ticket $25 for the offense, which is substantially less than primary enforcement laws. Contrary to some popular beliefs, airbags plus wearing your seatbelt can provide the greatest protection for adults. Wearing your seatbelt can potentially save your life in severe crashes when worn properly. According to the CDC, seatbelts reduce serious crash-related injuries and deaths by about half. Seatbelts restrain both the driver and the passengers from sudden impact during a collision, regardless if it is rear end, side, or head-on. Beth Ornstein wrote an article in Everyday Health and indicates that more than 15,000 lives are saved each year in the United States because drivers and their passengers were wearing seatbelts when they were in accidents. Seatbelts will move with you and lock up if a crash occurs. They keep you from being thrown from the vehicle and against parts inside of your vehicle. A shoulder strap helps keep your head and upper body away from the dashboard, steering wheel, and other hard interior parts of the automobile should you stop suddenly or be hit by another vehicle. Wearing your seatbelt is the easiest thing you can do to save your life in a potential crash. Today I have discussed how important wearing your seatbelt is by explaining the easy 3-second process, how it can prevent you from receiving unnecessary tickets, and why it could potentially save your life in a car crash. Vehicle operators and their passengers should always wear a seatbelt to save lives and reduce injuries in crashes. No matter how short the traveling distance or how uncool it may seem to your friends, taking the time to buckle your seatbelt could one day be the most important 3 seconds of your life. For more information regarding seatbelt safety or to find out what you can do to help increase seatbelt use, please visit the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website at www.cdc.gov/motor vehicle safety.